So you've known about this story for a long time because I spent quite a bit of time in Bowling Green.
Kentucky.
In Kentucky, yes. Not Bowling Green, Ohio, because there is a Bowling Green, Ohio as well. But has 4% of Bowling Green and the surrounding area, people are on weight loss drugs, and it's just changing the fabric of the area economically, culturally, but in sort of surprising ways. Like, I thought that I would go there and the restaurants would be empty and the gyms would be closing down, but it's sort of the opposite. I mean, restaurants are still full, the gyms are doing great. But what's happened is this like side economy has sort of formed alongside the drugs. So there's medical spas that are cropping up everywhere to sell these compounded drugs. The GNC is doing, great business selling supplements that help with side effects. And so it's like, it's actually helping business, but in sort of surprising ways.
I have a couple listener questions.
Okay.
Do we have time?
As long as they're pertinent to this story.
Yes. So listener writes in,
related to this story.
What happens if you take the pill and you're in shape? Which is, I think, a good question, because a lot of people, especially, like on the Upper East Side, they're already skinny, but they want to take it anyway.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like doctors shouldn't be prescribing these drugs because it's a prescription drug.
But is it a problem? Do you stop eating and then you become like anorexic, or?
I mean, it could be dangerous. Like, if you don't need to lose that much weight and you're on a weight loss drug that's really effective, probably not.
Leads well into the second question. When do these become over the counter and affordable?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah. I mean, they're probably never. I mean, I don't want to say never, but they are prescription drugs, so they're not over the counter. But generic drugs eventually will come down the pipeline. We're already seeing like some of the older GLP-1 drugs, the first sort of wave of these, like Saxenda, which is a drug called liraglutide. That's already on the way to becoming generic. So
it's a better name too.
Saxenda?
Saxenda. Or Sextarta would be better.
Okay, all right. I'm going to put you on the side for a moment. So go back to your story, because it's really cool. You guys, it was several reporters involved in it, and you really get into the specifics of the people there. How did you find it, though?
Yeah, so, I mean, we worked with the data team, and we worked with this analytics firm called Purple Lab, and they gave us 3 zip code level data, which, kind of gives you like a city and then the surrounding area. So we looked all across the U.S. We wanted to see what the Ozempic hotspots were. And, Bowling Green wasn't the only one that came up in the data. There was Huntsville, Alabama. There was like a few other areas. But Kentucky as a state has the highest concentration of weight loss drug users. So we were like, this is probably a good place to start. Clearly stands out in the data. And then once we started talking to people in Bowling Green, it was like, okay, this is our spot, because everyone here is either on the drugs or knows like 5 other people that are on them.
I mean, can we make the assumption that it's just an area where there's a fair amount of people that are overweight?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean,
you can make that. As someone who's been there, you can definitely make that assumption.
No, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, the obesity rates are high there, the diabetes rates are high there, and in Kentucky across the board. So it's actually a good thing that there's a lot of people taking these drugs in that area, because it means hopefully it's helping with
not just Kentucky
conditions.
I mean, you get off the airplane at CMH in Columbus, Ohio, and you notice that immediately as well. But there was a great line in your story by one of the women who knew it, right? She says, we're redneck enough. What'd she say?
She said, we're redneck enough to be fat, but smart enough to do something about it.
She was owning it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's been an incredible game changer for a lot of people in their lives who struggle, and there are people who struggle with being overweight and who've tried a bunch of different things, and I've seen it firsthand with individuals, and then they take this drug and it's just unbelievable, the difference.
Right, and that's the big thing with these drugs, is there's also been this changing understanding of obesity as a biological health condition that's driven by someone's biology. That's not necessarily just because these tropes that have long been repeated, that someone's lazy or that they're eating too much. Like, there are biological mechanisms driving this, and these drugs help with that. So it's for people who need them, it's an absolute game changer.